All right, testing, testing, testing. All right. As promised, now that I'm officially done with the school year, I might as well try and at least try to start uploading more often. So with that being said, today is the start of a new series in which I go wherever Formula 1 goes. Only differences being that I'm not going with them in person. I mean, of course not. And that I won't be in a Formula 1 car. Instead, I will be within Assetto Corsa driving a NASCAR race car. So to sum up what this series is meant to be is that every race week I will be going to the same track as Formula 1 and attempting to lap it in a NASCAR race car. And before I receive shit in the comments, I'm very well aware that it's May and I'm starting from square one, which is fucking Bahrain. And F1 is already at Imola, but don't worry, like I promise to catch up soon. Alright, now that I'm done with my little prologue on this series, let me now head into Assetto Corsa and onto the track. Now before I do start my laps, I want to give a brief description on both the car and track that I'll be using for today. So to start off with the track, we are at the Bahrain International Circuit, which is round 1 on the Formula 1 calendar. When it's in its Grand Prix layout, it is a 3.3 mile track, has a total of 15 turns and 4 decently sized straights. It also has a total of 3 DRS zones when being used for F1, but obviously that won't matter as NASCAR race cars don't have DRS. And even though we are using the Grand Prix layout today, there have been 2 other layouts previously used in Formula 1, both being the Endurance layout and the Outer Circuit layout, but those aren't too important for now. And now onto the car. For some of you who do follow NASCAR very closely, you may be looking at the car and wondering why I'm in an older generation car. This is the Hyperion 2020, which was made by Racing Studio, and I'll be using this car for the entirety of the series because of how well built and accurate this car is compared to its real life counterpart, which is the Gen 6 NASCAR Cup Series car. Now I know there are NASCAR next gen mods out there, but I'm choosing not to use them because they just don't feel or look as good as the Hyperion car, and quite frankly I don't know who they're made by. I kinda just yanked those off the internet, so I don't know how much attention to detail the creators of the next gen mods really put into the mod. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, this is a livery of Carl Edwards' number 99 Aflac car, because who doesn't miss Cousin Carl? But with all that aside, let's get into our laps around Bahrain. Alright, so the way this is going to work is I'm just going to do one brief introductory lap, just a slow lap, introduce each turn, each section of the track, and then afterwards I'll try and put it all together into one flying lap. So as you see, we come off the turn 14 and 15 onto the very long front stretch, all the way up into 4th gear. We're going to have to brake really early here, like around 250 meters. And all the way down into 1st gear. Try not to overshoot this corner, and then going into turn 2 we have to be very patient on the gas, can't full throttle it, but then after turn 3 we can. We're going to go all the way up into 3rd gear and we can brake around 150 all the way back down into 1st gear. Again, this is not a corner that you want to overshoot. Have to be very patient on the gas around here as well. You know, the car can spin very easily. And coming into this corner, you might want to use heel toe when shifting down. And again, very patient or else this can happen. You will spin. Good thing I didn't spin all the way around. I was able to stop it just in time. But alright, back into speed. Back into 2nd gear. Going to go all the way down into 1st. Again, very tight corner. You don't want to overshoot this corner. Be very patient on the brakes and gas. Make sure you don't lock up the tires on brake. And again, another corner where heel toe is recommended. And again, another very tight corner. Section 2 of this track is very tight. So back into full throttle. We're going to go full throttle for a while. Most likely into 3, 4th gear. And then brake around 150. With these cars, you don't want to put your car on the curb. It can very much unsettle the car. And as you see, because I put it on the curb, I ended up taking the turn a little bit too wide. Over here, you can be somewhat aggressive on the gas. Just not too aggressive, of course, and then going into this corner you will want to let off the gas in order to actually stay within track limits. Back into 1st gear onto the last stretch before the new lap. So yeah, again, into 3rd, 4th gear, all the way down, and then you might want to brake around 175, 200 meters maybe. Back into 1st gear. Be careful you don't lock up the brakes. Now off of turn 14 and 15. And now we are ready to start our 1st lap. Now starting the lap, as you see, going into 4th gear, 270 kilometers per hour. Gonna have to brake really early here. Again, 250, 200, all the way into first gear. Very tight into the first turn. Again, very patient here. Going into turn 2 and into turn 3. We can be somewhat aggressive with it. And we're going all the way up into around third gear. And we want to brake, again, 150, 170, around there. Back into first gear. Take this turn very slow, very tight. And you might want to go into the gas a little bit early. And again here, be very careful with the gas. Going into first gear, you have to be very slow, very careful around here. You don't want to push too hard. And into second gear, but quickly back into first gear. Another tight turn. Again, try your best not to lock up the tires when braking or hit the curb, because that will unsettle the car and you will take the turn wide. Again, this extremely tricky section. I still can't get it right 100%, but you know, going all the way into first, braking, going very slow, and onto the stretch. This is one of the longer stretches, so you will take it into nearly fourth gear, but around 150 we will brake. Another slow-ish, not as slow as the previous turns, but you still have to be very careful around here. As you see, I'm somewhat lenient, you know, aggressive on the gas. But then again, here you don't want to be too aggressive. You want to let off somewhat so you can stay within track limits. And going into first gear, I went a little bit too wide, so we got to be careful for that. I think that's the main thing we got to be careful for on this track, just going too wide and locking up the brakes. So again, up into fourth gear, braking around 170. Just surprising that we can be in fourth gear and still brake 170 meters. I think we took this corner very well to get a fast start for our second fast lap. As we see, the first lap is going to be somewhat slow, 2:04, but I think we can improve here as long as we clean up a couple things. So again, 250, 200, in between there. Maybe I went a little bit too slow into here. Coming into turn 2, out of turn 2, I was a lot more aggressive on the gas. And then all the way up into third gear, again almost into fourth, but we're going to brake around 170 and then out. Again, be very patient here, you don't want to spin. Again, you might want to use heel toe here just to be a tad bit faster, as it can help, and we have to be very patient around here. Going up into second, back into first. Again, let's try and not lock up the brakes. As we see here, I did much better going into this corner compared to the previous lap. Got somewhat loose, but I was able to keep it straight. And again, this is another one of the tricky turns. I was able to, yeah, I somewhat went wide here. Not the best thing in the world, but it shouldn't be too detrimental to our time. Now onto the long stretch. Going into nearly fourth gear, but not going to staying in third. Again, we want to go all the way down to first. We did not hit the curb this time, so we should be fine. We can be somewhat aggressive on the gas here, as I am. But then again, brake a little bit, let off the gas a little bit, just to stay within track limits. I did go off a little bit, but it was still a clean lap, so no need to worry. I took this corner much better, and now on to the last stretch. Taking that corner good will allow us a fast time. Again, we want to brake around 150, 170 into the last turn. Somewhat locked up the brakes. I don't think it was too detrimental to our time. And back onto the front stretch after coming off of turns 14 and 15. And we will get a 2:03, which is much faster compared to my previous time, you know, a whole second faster. And on top of that, much faster compared to my practice times before starting this recording, as I would get 2:07s, 2:09s. If you did like this video and do like the concept of the series, please consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell in order to get updates every time I post a video of this series. The links for the Hyperion 2020 mod and the Bahrain track mod, if I ever do find the link for Bahrain again, will be in the description of this video in case you would like to check out the mods for yourself. And as previously mentioned, Bahrain does have 2 other track layouts that are used in F1. So please let me know in the comments if you would like to see those in future videos, along with any other tracks that aren't currently in the F1 schedule, to post them maybe during F1 off weeks or the summer vacation. But apart from all that, thank you for sticking around, thank you for watching, Peace out, and see you guys in the next video.